Okay, so today, in addition to being Independence Day in the US, Trump also signed his big, beautiful bill, which we all knew, unfortunately, was going to become law. Now, we know that a lot has been made about the fact that Medicaid is going to be cut as well as food stamps, now known as SNAP. But there are other things in this bill which I'm sure are equally horrible. So, I found this article from CNN. 7 little known items in Trump's big agenda bill. When President Donald Trump signs his so called big beautiful bill into law Friday, obviously this was before the actual signing, much of the focus will be on its big ticket items. Tax cuts for the wealthy, it doesn't mention for the wealthy. I mean, there'll be some tax cuts for other people, but mostly for the wealthy. Slashes to Medicaid and food stamp spending, and boosted border security funding. So particularly ICE. But lawmakers tucked a long list of measures that won't grab headlines into the massive tax and spending package. Here's a look at 7 of the lesser known provisions of the measure. Okay. This is a strange one. The Space Shuttle Discovery, parked at the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum Annex in North Virginia since it was decommissioned in 2011, will be relocated to its new home, Houston. The bill includes $85 million to pay for its relocation and housing at the Johnson Space Center. The move comes after a push by 2 Texas Republican senators, John Cornyn and Ted Cruz, who argued Houston's role in the space shuttle program should be recognized. I can see why Elon said that this bill was filled with pork. Because that to me does sound like pork. Commercial spaceflight companies like Elon Musk's SpaceX will have to pay fees for their launches and re-entries, phased in over 8 years and intended to help the Federal Aviation Administration's Office of Commercial Space Transportation keep up with the industry's rapid growth. The fees will start at 25 cents per pound, capped at $30,000 per launch, and reach $1.50 per pound, capped at $200,000 per launch in 2033, with increases tied to the Consumer Price Index after that. I'm sure that's another reason, that one of the main reasons Elon has a serious problem with this bill. Not that it includes pork, which I'm sure he's under the impression that Doge actually was cutting waste and fraud and abuse when he ensured that people around the world will die because USA aid is not an option anymore. But yeah, this I'm sure is why he really has a problem with it. Not the pork, not the actual, what some would call waste. It's things like this, or the fact that the EV tax credits are going away. Anyway, moving on. The poker industry, including those who play for a living online and in casinos, could be in serious trouble due to a provision that will eat into the profits of those who make money gambling. Currently, gamblers can deduct their losses before paying taxes on their winnings. Under Trump's bill, though, they'll be able to deduct just 90% of their losses. For example, win $100,000 but lose $80,000, you'll have made $20,000 but owe taxes on $28,000. It's almost like he bankrupted casinos at one point. This new amendment to the One Big Beautiful Bill Act would end professional gambling in the U.S. and hurt casual gamblers too. Professional poker player Phil Galfond said on X, "You could pay more in tax than you won." You know, that is going to hurt the gambling. But again, this is the man who bankrupted his own casinos. How the hell do you manage to bankrupt a casino that you run? I mean, the house is supposed to win. How do you bankrupt it? And probably by doing shit like this, ensuring that people won't want to gamble because it's not worth the hassle. So, good job. The bill includes $250 million to carry out Trump's often mentioned plans for a makeover of the Kennedy Center for Performing Arts, funding that comes despite the Trump administration's cancellation of grant offers to arts and humanities programs nationwide. Trump took over one of Washington's premier cultural spots, remaking the Kennedy Center's board with political allies. He also last month attended the center's opening night of Les Miserables, which was hilarious, where he was met with a mix of cheers and boos. For those who aren't aware, he was asked what he liked about Les Miserables. And, not what he liked, but did he identify more with Javert or Jean Valjean? And he couldn't answer it. He gave one of his kid who did a book report on a book he didn't read. He couldn't tell you. It was obvious that even though he says he'd seen it a few times, never paid any amount of attention if he truly did actually see the play. Because otherwise he would know that, well, first off, he's the bad guy in this scenario. He's Javert. And that this musical is all about taking down the king. It's really not that hard. So, yeah. So that was funny. And also I hear that Kennedy Center season ticket sales have gone down ever since Trump took over the Kennedy Center. And of course, it's also objectively hilarious that he claims that he has a problem with drag shows, but then things like, I think Hairspray, there's a bunch of other musicals that have cross-dressing in them that are being run. It's like, do you people have any idea what the hell you're doing? And of course the answer is no. Alright. The bill eliminates a $200 fee that gun owners are charged when purchasing silencers and short barrel rifles, as well as registration and ownership requirements. Right, because what could possibly go wrong with that? It removes those from the scope of the 1934 National Firearms Act, a Prohibition-era law intended to crack down on gangland crime. That law remains in effect for machine guns and explosive devices. Or at least something. Alright. Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski used her leverage as the Senate's deciding vote to extract a series of concessions in the final bill for her home state. Among them, an increase from $10,000 to $50,000 of a tax deduction for whaling-related expenses. Oh, come on. Buying an American-made car between 2025 and 2028, you'll be able to write off up to $10,000 of interest paid on your auto loan. Reaching the full deduction would require a six-figure vehicle purchase, but those buying average cars, trucks, and SUVs that qualify for the deduction could save several $100s per year. On the other hand, those in the market for electric vehicles will see a tax credit created under former President Joe Biden worth up to $7,500 eliminated at the end of September. It had originally been scheduled to last through 2032. And yeah, it's great that people buying cars, seemingly will get some money back. That's great, if I'm reading that correctly. But, that's one of the things that Elon Musk has a problem with. Because just like in Doge, where he went after agencies that were investigating his companies, he wanted to be able to do whatever the hell he wanted and run his companies the way he wanted. So obviously, because he's not getting carte blanche to ensure that his companies get, make him, as the world's richest man, even richer, obviously we can't have that. But there was something I wanted to go back to. The fact that Lisa Murkowski could be bought. She's supposed to be one of the moderates, one of those who are reasonable and are willing to stand up to Trump. And she sold that all out just because she got some tax credits for her state. Not a good look. So, yeah, some of these are Some of these are, like the gun silencer fees. What is the freaking point of that? I can see the gambling one because it's entirely possible that the guy who bankrupted the casino could possibly, maybe he's surrounded by people who are anti-gambling and who want to kill the gambling industry. That's a possibility because, let's face it, it's hard. You don't have to worry about developing a gambling problem if you can't afford to gamble. But the people with gambling problems don't seem to care about that. So this is going to hurt the people who are actually responsible. So I guess if you're anti-gambling, that's a good thing. Kennedy Center, well, I don't know what's going to happen with this makeover, but Kennedy Center is already suffering for the fact that Trump took over the Kennedy Center and politicized it, which it's not supposed to be. So, yeah. The big ticket items are the ones that are the most dubious. The other ones that I listed go from, that's not great, to meh. Alright, so I believe that is all I have for this video. And with that, I will see you guys in the next one.